Welcome out to Tackle Trading's Trade Masters with Coach Matt. I got two amazing traders here today to talk a little bit about what they're seeing in the market. And as always in Trade Masters, we have two rounds of picks. We got round one, where I believe the boys are looking at breakouts, I want to say. And round two, we got a little bit more different patterns. We'll have to wait and see what the boys are looking at here. But I got two amazing traders. I got Bobby D. I got Coach Frank. They're going to come and bring their favorite picks, kind of midweek scan type situation at tackle. And if you love awesome trading picks, you're looking for more trading picks and you can't get enough of those trading picks, well, come over to Tackle Trading, hit the link in the description below, sign up for a free trial membership, and check out this coming week's Traders Report and Tackle Trading newsletter, all within the Pro membership. And that's just a little bit of a taste of the Pro membership. But if you love Trade Masters, you love trading picks, I promise you're going to love the Pro as well. Now, a little bit about my two traders here today. This is a major battle between Frank and Bobby. Anybody at Tackle Trading knows this battle. It's the master, kind of a little bit of a, how shall we say, Frank, a hard time Obi-Wan Kenobi versus the
Yes. Yep.
upcoming stud Anakin Skywalker, Bobby D here. That's the competitors. That's the landscape. Let's get right into it. Now, before we get into the actual picks, I want to talk a little bit about the market. I want to get Bobby's take on the market. I want to get Frank's take on the market as well, because the Bulls came out to play today. No doubt about that. Bulls broke out early in the day, scream up into that upper echelon of resistance. Guess what, Frankie? I called that out last night in the coach's show. I
Oh
said,
yeah.
we break here. You got to be targeting T2 at the high, because that's kind of what the pattern is right now. And that's exactly how it played out today. Now, what's going to be really interesting against the backdrop is we're talking about a breakout on the daily chart. We're talking about a breakout on the weekly chart. We're talking about breakout on every time frame, because there's nothing above the current high of the day. Market looks pretty good going into the overnight session here today. Market looks pretty good from an overall pattern development perspective. And with that said, let's go to Bobby first. Bobby, what's your thoughts on the market as we're navigating a little bit of chop the last couple of days, a little bit of volatility the last couple of days, but it certainly looks like it's getting cleaned up here?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think with all the news going on, I think you're going to expect it to get a little bit of chop here with the whole shutdown and everything. But I think it's still in the zone, it's still ready to go. And I think you just don't fight the trend, and you stick to your trading rules and plans. And I think you're going to see another leg higher here.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we're in that. And I talked about it in the newsletter last week about how we were developing into a 4-hour high base. Well, that
Yeah.
4-hour high base kind of developed into a daily high base here. That's pretty clean. Fighting that breakout right now here, Frankie. Bobby kind of seems like if you got to trade, you like the trade, you pull the trigger here. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Listen, when you hit a new high, it's time to buy, right?
I
Call
think
me
that's what Warren Buffett said. Yeah.
call me a simple man, but the market's hitting all-time highs. It's probably going to be a good look for a couple bullish plays. So yeah, I would echo Bobby's sentiment. Probably maybe even a little bit stronger. I'm excited about this breakout.
And that's just on the ES. What led the party today was the NASDAQ. And when
Yes,
the
sir.
NASDAQ wants to get froggy and jump, it has a tendency to carry big, broad shoulders in the NASDAQ, has a tendency to carry a lot in the market. Keep an eye on it. We're talking breakouts here on the S&P 500, on the NASDAQ. I, I would certainly agree with both of you. This is a really good look for the Bulls. I kind of feel like I was talking in the newsletter, kind of we're in this mid pattern of an overall leg in the market. And it feels like there's 150 points of error above that 6,800 zone for the market to play with. That's a pretty good look as well. Indicators look pretty good across the board as we navigate. I'll have a deep dive update coming into the next edition of the newsletter this coming Friday. So pro members, get excited about that. I know you guys love the newsletter. Frankie, let's go with the master, right? Let's go with the
All
master.
right.
You're the
All right.
master,
I
right?
am.
You're Bobby's, you're Bobby's coach. You're Bobby's mentor, right? You are the master. You get to choose who goes first.
Listen, we talked earlier. I'll go with it. And like I've told Bobby, I may have taught him everything he knows, but I didn't teach him everything I know. Right. I still got a trick or two up my sleeves.
That's
He's
exactly
got
what part-time Obi-Wan
he's
Kenobi.
got the youth, right, and the brute force. So I got to use my Jedi mind tricks. But no, I'll go first. We're going to go retracement round first here. So I'm going to go with IBIT. I'm going with Bitcoin. I think this is a great little scenario that we have on Bitcoin. Last week just went ham, right? I mean, big bounce off support, just screaming up the charts into that breakout. And one thing that I think is pretty universal for us at Tackle Trading is we don't love getting involved on breakouts that run straight from support to and through resistance. We're always looking for that secondary pattern. And that's probably universal, I would say, for us. Well, we're getting it now, right? We snapped back yesterday, a little inside bar at the breakout channel here today. You know what this means. This means a nice little cheap risk, go or don't type of scenario. Doesn't have a whole lot more to give, so I'll know to tap out pretty quickly, right? Whether you're anchoring to today's low, I like anchoring to yesterday's low. The 90 MA will catch up to that with any upward movement here. So I kind of like anchoring towards that yesterday's low, but I wouldn't fight it if somebody wanted to anchor towards today's low, to be quite honest with you here. We've got a ton of clear blue skies above us. And the one cool thing about IBIT, not only is it a breakout, not only is it I couldn't just get involved when it broke out last week. It's just not going to be my style. Well, I'm able to get into it for roughly the same breakout price, but it's cooled off here a little bit. And I do very, very much like that. Nice thing about IBIT too, bonus, is it's Bitcoin. It doesn't have earnings. A lot of things that we're going to be looking at over the next few weeks. We're going to have to navigate that. Don't have to have that conversation on Bitcoin. The option chains is extremely friendly too. So you can do lots of things. You want to be a credit trader, you can absolutely get credit. You want to do some covered calls, you can, get paid for way out of the money. I actually like a November 70-80 debit spread. Personally, that's going to run you about $3. So yeah, bull call, going to run you about $3, gives you lots of upside, gives you a fair amount of time. You don't have to risk the whole $3, right? If you're tapping out under the 90 MA or yesterday's low.
Is it on the stop loss placement here, Frankie? I didn't catch it, but is that kind of where your stop loss?
Yeah, I think depends on you. That's where I would lean. Yes,
Well,
I like where you.
My question is because obviously you could just play the bar.
Yes, I'd have no problem with that.
Take the low point of the pivot, which is
that's what I would choose.
What you would say would be happening here with confirmation.
Yes,
and the 90 MA
it'll catch up. Like it's going to be there if this triggers. Right. If you get upward movement enough
tomorrow, it's there tomorrow.
It's there tomorrow. So yeah, I like using yesterday's low, which will also be the 90 MA. I think clear blue skies. I think
it's open air. Yeah,
it is open air here. So I think it's more one of those. Can IBIT get to 80? Yeah, I believe it can within now and November, but it'll really be more of a management conversation than it will be.
I think yield's top shelf 78.
So yeah, I think as you get into the 78 to 80 range, you're likely, but momentum is a heck of a thing, right? And so when you're all-time highs and there's no real reason, ask some of those gold stocks if momentum's a heck of a thing, right? So I'll just kind of ride the wave, trail along with the 90 MA, especially once we start to see some upward movement in price, and basically roll until I have a reason to leave. Right. Since I am looking at the 70-80 bull call for November, as I get into 80, if I am fortunate enough to be there, okay, cool. I'll call it good right at that point in time. But I really do think that this is less a hard targeting situation and more of a soft targeting trade management. You have to feel that it can get there, but I feel it can. This is a big breakout.
I do too.
It's made a similar move to that just over the past week and a half now. So why can't it do it on the breakout? So there's lots of ways you can play it. I have my preference, but I do believe there's plenty of ways, what doesn't have to be my way or the highway here. But I love this flag just over today's high. And I think you're good to go personally.
If it doesn't confirm tomorrow, but we get another down day a little bit to kiss off the 90 MA, I think it actually would be even a better trade.
I would agree with
one more day
that.
want to be nasty here.
So yeah.
Love the discussion there, Frankie. Thank you so much for the breakdown on your first round pick, which is I bit. Now, Bobby, the master came out with Bitcoin. He didn't hold back any punches. He's like, I'm
We
going
did.
Bitcoin, we're going momentum, and we're gonna teach how it's done here. What about you? What's your
Yeah.
what's your round one pick, and how are you gonna defeat Frank here?
Yeah. Frank did come out of the gates hot. He's trying to get the first punch in there. Just to kind of, Frank came with a little flag pattern here. I'm going to start with my first pick on ABBV. Now, these guys here, I've been talking about them the last couple of days in the step channel, been eyeing them. As you can see here, before we go to Abby, Matt, if you can, this is a healthcare stock. If you go to XLV,
Yeah, of course.
yeah, if you take a look at XLV here, I mean, with all the news, out there, defensive stock, it's been on fire the last couple days. I mean, going into this week. If you go to a weekly chart or a monthly chart, which either one, you could see that it broke out of a trend line. So it has some momentum. Healthcare looks like can go up to the 150 zone. You got another little leg higher, which I think plays into the force with AbbVie here. A nice little trend break. So we'll see what happens here. So if you go to AbbVie now, so yeah, what I'm kind of eyeing here on AbbVie on this pullback here is just a straight debit play, which you can either go options, you can either buy stock, or you can even go
So
a
are you
little credit.
thinking like pure swing trade here for you, or is it more like a swing to position type style?
Actually, for me, I'm looking at a pure swing trade here, just because it's looking at the RSI,
I
which
would
is
agree with that, by the way. I like the current momentum. Let's let it run out. You know what I mean?
correct. I mean, you could do either or. You could play some credit depending on what type of how aggressive you are as a credit trader, or you can definitely most likely play the swing trade here. So my entry up would be above that yesterday's candle, which is around the 235 zone. My stop would be just slightly under that same candle, which comes around like 226. My first target would be at that 245 zone, which is that pivot at the top of that candle. And then I would try to work between the 250 zone and 260 zone as my T2.
So, real quick question on your entry here.
Mhm.
You're taking it above the high of the hammer candle. Can you just kind of give me some thoughts, Bobby, on why would you use the hammer candle here versus the doji candle here?
I mean, as you can see here, that candle today, Doji, you had that candle 3 days ago. So, I mean, if you're an aggressive trader, you could go intraday and you can try to find an entry over today's candle. But for me, I kind of like more confirmation.
Yeah.
I think Frank taught me back in the day, it's better to pay for a little bit more confirmation than, pay for something now and, get beat on it. So I'm more of a trader who likes to get a little bit more confirmation and make sure I'm on the right side of it.
It's an old philosophy of bunch traders. We're willing to give up we're willing to give up a little bit of the game for additional probability,
Yep.
right? And ultimately, the question on confirmation is when you're a new trader, it's all about the candle, right? Because new traders can't handle more data points. They have to think about just that candle. But what you're really talking about is the pivot formation, is what you're really talking about. And that takes a few candles oftentimes. Like when you're seeing this turn over here on Abby, that's not a bad thing. And so I just wanted to kind of talk about that entry real quick, because when you look at confirmation, a lot of people will just assume confirmation is above the candle high on whatever you're looking at. Well, yes, from an analytical approach, that's fine, but let the technicals tell the story, right? And the story is a pivot formation. And so I just absolutely agree with your call out of the entry above yesterday's high instead of today's. What about stop loss here, Bobby? Where were you thinking on the stop loss?
So it can stop loss at 226, which is just under that same
Underneath the
candle.
lows here?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so pure swing trade mindset, you're just playing the bar, basically.
absolutely. And
And then,
another thing on the entry real quick,
yeah,
as if you go to the 1 hour chart, I like to make sure that all my basis is covered, when I'm going on a retracement, because you have a lot of these moving averages overhead. So I just want to make sure, on my entry where it's at, that it's cleared, so I have no other problems. Nothing overhead,
it's a
clear air.
wonderful point.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful point because if you trigger here, like I was talking about it in the day trading class during the coaches show this week.
Yep.
That's not a swing trader zone. You gotta look at that the amount of movement you have between your trigger and your next level, right?
Yep.
And when you have a $234 stock and you got a $1 range there, that's not a swing trader zone. That's a day trader zone. That's a scalper zone. That's a front running zone, right? Where do you enter into some degree of open air? It is certainly above the high. And then on the hourly chart, just kind of go what you're talking about. Look at all the data points over the last 24 hours between the 233 level and the 234 level. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. That's a wonderful point to you as well, Bobby. All right, last question I have here on round one, and then we'll talk about them in general. Is I know you mentioned targets. Can you just reiterate your targets very quickly?
Yeah. So my first target would be at that 245 zone, which is that top of that
So the
pivot,
pivot.
or 244.81. I would like to work into that zone, and then beyond there would be in the 250, 260 zone. This is at an all-time high if it gets above that 244. So in previous past, I like to look at the pay range.
I was going to
Just
ask you, not to put you on the spot, but what concept were you using? What technical targeting concept to get the 260? Was it yield?
Yeah, usually on all-time highs, I use yield. That's
Yeah.
the first one I'll go to. I'll see where I'm at.
It's
And
mine
then
too. I like that one too.
sometimes I'll throw on a Fibonacci just to see how close I am with the pay, but usually they all come pretty close. So that's
If you do yield and if you do yield correctly, it's always going to be close to the fib target.
Yep.
Like
correct.
because fib 100% is the methodology of pay ranges, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's a good point. All right, Frankie, we got round one in the books. We got the flag on IBIT, a little bit more an aggressive retest against that breakout channel. Looks really, really good with development. Just playing the bars and looking at a bull call spread. We got Abby V here out of Bobby D, and basically a similar type concept here. Momentum trend, momentum pattern, playing the pivot ranges from an entry and a stop loss perspective. Frankie, after the complete discussion in round one, Bobby, we like to, as you know, have an open conversation on which one we like the most, right? Because as traders, we certainly have our bias towards our own, but as a community, we like sharing ideas with one another. Frankie, you go first. I'll go last. Frankie, you go first. After the discussion, do you still like IBIT slightly more than ABV?
I do. And the biggest reason isn't because I don't like Abby V. The biggest reason is I won't have to deal with earnings that I'll have to deal with on Abby V and everything else. And that is a big tiebreaker in my opinion. It's not super tight, right? We got till the end of the month here. So it's not like we got to move in the next 2 days on Abby V. I actually really like Abby V. I had them on my short list here as well.
Plenty of time, but you are right. There is an expiration to this.
There is an expiration, right? There is that you do have to deal with. I think technically you're sixes, right? I think you really are sixes. I think both of them are very sound from a technical point of view. So when I got to pick a reason why one's better, quotation marks, than the other, not having earnings is about it. Well, anybody at Tactical Trading knows that's a big selling point for me. I hate earnings, so I'll stick with IBIT.
Not a fan. Bobby, what about you?
I mean, I really can't add too much. Obviously, I'll pick mine, being biased. Just kidding. But I have to say, I mean, I do really like the IBIT trade that was on my list to possibly use if Frank wasn't going to, pick that one.
He called
earnings
shots a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, earnings is a big selling point, as he said. You don't want to fight that. And IBIT, you don't have to deal with earnings. Plus, there's plenty of different things you can do, and you never know what news is going to come out on Bitcoin. So it's a
Just hopefully
flyer.
the Bucks isn't on Saturday.
Oh.
Team, go ahead and let us know which one of the first round do you like the most. Do you like the ABV flag-based pattern with momentum, or do you like the multiple time frame retest breakout on IBIT? I'll go. I like them both. Obviously, I think they're both high quality trades here. Um, I'll go with Abby for two reasons. Number one, I'm a sucker for a 3-day pullback a little bit more than a 1 day. You know what I mean? So I kind of like the overall structure here a little bit more. Number two, Abby V was one of my first picks that I put into Trade Masters, Frankie, if you
Yeah,
remember.
on the return, yeah, it was one of the first ones.
If you'll remember the
Like in that little
breakout.
mid-tier breakout.
Yeah, that mid-tier multiple time frame breakout, that was an awesome trade. So I kind of want a nostalgia a little bit. Think
So
about, oh,
house is money, right?
let's go play with some let's go play with the house's money on that one, no doubt about that. So I'll sign up for round two on AbbV, but again, that is not to discount IBIT. That's not how we at Tackle Trading do. We share trading ideas.
Yeah,
Like them
absolutely.
both, but I will officially go with ABV myself. By the way, I always have a hard time saying that.
I know you always throw an extra B in there.
Yeah.
Like A, B, P, D, CD, something. Abby V. Let's go. All right. Round one in the books, guys. Let's shift to round two here.
We
Same
got
order. Frankie, you
we got the
first.
break. Yeah, sure.
All
We got the breakout round. Although it kind of breaks my heart, so I'll just cheat. I really wanted to talk about Broadcom. You got a weekly bounce off of the 9 daily King's bed, but I'm gonna go with Snow.
You just had to put it on the radar.
Of course, I'm gonna cheat. Right?
I don't blame you.
I'm gonna cheat. This ain't my first rodeo.
The weekly looks pretty decent on.
Like that's beautiful. And the night, I mean, Broadcom just came through on earnings, so this is actually, you know, a conversation. Unlike most names that you are going to have to navigate in the next, you know, 2.5, 3 weeks, that ain't the story here on Broadcom. This is actually kind of that post earnings pattern that's developed, right? So very, very good look. We broke this one down quite a bit in the lounge here this morning, but I'm going to go with the Informer, aka Snow. This one is the weekly is where we got to start for this conversation.
Yeah, I thought so too.
This is a pretty significant mid-tier breakout. If you think about AbbV, wasn't that long ago the AbbV was a mid-tier breakout, right? Same concept applies here, just a different name. It just happens to be Snow in the technology space. So we are dealing with a mid-tier breakout. There is of course, there's price because it's been at 400 before. But when you're talking about legitimate resistance levels, there's no legitimate resistance levels, in my opinion, until the double top at approximately 400.
Like
that probably
Wicks at 275.
you got junk. You got junk. Yep.
I would say major. You got a 325 pivot that's fairly major, but those are so far up.
Those are so far. Yeah, you're not using that for any sort of swing, or it mostly is to illustrate that there is a ton of air. Unlike, you know, so even though it's not at all-time highs like an AbbV, there's
here, baby.
That you do, you know, because if you think about what you said on the, you know, your day trade last night in the coaches show on the ES, you basically were looking at it for the same lens, right? It was a mid-tier breakout, work to the top. Now it's going to happen a lot faster in a day trade, right, than a you know, swing or position trade. And I don't think that we realistically are targeting,
concept, though.
But it is the same concept, right? These things like to kind of fill. So if this breakout can hold, it should want to make a move to the upside. Now, I don't think you're realistically targeting into the $400 level unless you are kind of long-terming it. I do think, though, you can pretty confidently target to the $300 level and kind of go from there. I think 300 is kind of the target in my head on this. And then depending on your time frame, because again, this is one of those names that has earnings, you know, closer to behind us than in front of us, much like Broadcom. So we aren't going to have that debate on what to do with it during, you know, for earnings for quite some time. So you can look at this through more the swing or the position lens, in my opinion. And I think,
what do you prefer?
I prefer the position as a general rule.
I
I tend to, you know, especially on a mid-tier breakout, right? I don't want to choke this thing off because, well, mid-tier breakouts can run, right? That's what we love about them. So I kind of like more of a position view on this. But if someone came to the other side, what I would basically say is 300 is your first target for a position trade and your second target for a swing trade. That's a long-winded way for me to say that. So, but I do believe that the 300 is kind of the first, real level, right? It's going to line up with about the range that we've been in post earnings. It's a big round hole number.
Like, yeah, you're good on.
You're going to be pretty good on that if you can get there. I believe that you are going to be, playing either. I mean, obviously, we're going to want some confirmation over today's high, and that would be enough, in my opinion. I think you have kind of two choices, and I think one's better than the other. And it's either, kind of under today's bar or under, kind of the low of the week, which is where I would lean, right? Same kind of concept as IBIT, but maybe even a little more pronounced. That's the breakout channel. That's the 9 EMA. That's the low on the weekly. I like going underneath there. You certainly can justify doing that from a risk to reward perspective, in my opinion, at least, and have plenty of room on the risk to reward side.
$22 of risk.
Yeah, you're in there. But if you needed to scrunch it up, I do believe with the size of today's candle, I wouldn't hate under today's bar because you get the 9, but I would much prefer, like Bobby said, I'd rather give things a little more room.
Structure of the trade if you tighten that stop up, because at that point it becomes a momentum trade.
Yes, and that would fit more if you were kind of just looking at it. And I think you could look at it through that lens. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
I think you could 100% look at it through that lens. But if you are kind of looking at the position side of it, I do think you're probably looking at underneath the base of the past week. Yesterday's low gives you the weekly candle, gives you the 9, gives you the breakout channel. Lots of good stuff as far as that goes on snow. And then just let's let her rip, right?
I think both of your picks are good credit trades too.
I was going to say you can absolutely, and you probably, well, of course, you can always play shares, even if it's a very small amount. There's certainly plenty that you can do on a snow. I will probably, knowing myself, I will probably look into the debit spread side of things, starting a little bit out of the money, looking at something in the vicinity of a 260 to 290 debit spread. But I'll do a little shopping around there just as a way to really knock down the price, right? Because at 250, you can pop some calls. There's no
option at 250. Yeah,
exactly. And so I, generally I prefer to spread it out. It just feels better to me. I'm not really a pop and call kind of guy.
I'm a fan on $260 stock slightly out of the money bull call spreads.
Yeah. Yes, I would start a little bit out of the money. Like, I'm not saying that you have to start at 300, but I would, kind of be looking at 260 or 270 is kind of the long, and then kind of price out from there. Kind of thinking 260, 290, but that's just kind of me knowing myself more than me having shopped, and that's what I like to do. I'll shop through
as of right now.
Time frames.
I would say 260 by 300 makes sense. Yep, 260 by 290 makes sense. Those two is what makes sense. If you're structuring it around the 260, you would sell the 290 or the 300 here.
Yes, yeah, I would. That's where my lean is.
Righty.
But love the story here. I feel like if this breakout holds, I feel like it's not this trade, but I feel like we get multiple trades, and until I have a reason to believe otherwise, I'm going to believe that eventually snow is pushing back up into that 400 level. So I'd expect to see these guys again in the future. You just got to hold this breakout. That's all you got to do. Snow, I believe in you.
It's got a good look going into it. There's no doubt about that. Momentum candle here today, even on the volatility candle yesterday with the market getting all crabby, didn't break anything. And that's ultimately when you see volatility, and snow's had 2 days of volatility. When you see volatility, did it break anything? Did it break a trend? Did it break a pattern? Did it break a support level? Did it break anything? And the answer is no, which means if a tree falls in the forest, does anybody know it? That's kind of what this volatility is. It's like, yeah, it was there, but it's not playing a role in anything currently because it didn't break anything. I like your pick on snow. Bobby, round 2 pick, mid-tier breakout on snow. What does Anakin have to say about round 2 here?
So I'm going to go with almost to another all-time high on Cisco. another technology company here. As you can see here, Cisco is 72.5 is its all-time high. Anything above that, it's free range. As you can see today, it already broke out. You know, he had a long range here, couple months actually, and so today we actually got some volatility in there and, you know, broke out. I
But
think
if
on
it
this,
wasn't for the earnings nonsense, the gap up come right back down into the range. This is such a clean breakout.
oh
Such
yeah,
a clean
Yeah, it was.
oh
Uh,
absolutely.
I didn't want to jump in. I was just like,
No, you're
that's a
good.
good breakout level. So
No,
I'll
absolutely.
point that out.
I think I think on the trade side of things, before I get into my entry and stop, I think you can do quite different things on it. I mean, it's cheap enough stock. If you want to do a naked put, you can do a naked put down at, you know, in the 67, 65 range. I think your IB's at 41. You can also do directional play on this. It's cheap enough to go out and buy a spread of 72.5. I think I was looking at November 72.5, and 77.5 for, I think it was, close to what, $1.50. So
Yeah.
there's a bunch of different things you can do, and even if you want to do a 75.70, do a little cheapy, you get 86 cents I think out there. You know, you can also do that. So there's many different options you can play on this one, especially since it's already broken out. For me, I probably would do a debit spread on this, probably do the 77.5, 75, 77.5, 72.5. Probably would do that, but if I was to do this in the stock realm, I would probably play this more as a position trade. Reason being, this is an AI stock. You know, for this one here, you never know, it can go shoot up to 100. So I would play it more as a position if I was going to go the stock realm. But
Especially if OpenAI promises them fake money.
correct, yeah.
We do
So
like that.
yeah, we do like that. So yeah, if I was going to play on the stock side of things, I would play it more as a position trade, work up to that 72.55 as like an ATR, maybe scale out there, and then kind of work it up to more of the 80-85 range for my position trade. But you can get some nice options on this. They're very liquid, so I think that's another route
One
as
of those
well.
stocks you can do quite a bit on the option side of the equation. So you're going to go with the bull call on this one, correct?
Bull call, yep.
Okay. Stop loss placement here. Where do you see it a little bit different? Where's your get out?
Yeah, usually on options, I try to, you know, position side of risk. I know not everyone could do that. So for me, since I
You
like
could
it more
try
as
the
a,
crude method though. Like
you
yeah.
could. I mean, for me, I would try to play it more since it's more of a position style. If I did it the stock way, I would go under yesterday's candle. I would keep it below the 9. If we got another update, I would be quick to move it up to maybe around the breakout zone to keep it, kind of keep
like
that stop
slightly
moving up.
under until you can dance the 9 EMA dance.
Correct. Yeah. So if we get another nice big candle like we did today, I would quick to move it to below that breakout zone. But for now, I would, since your position side's a risk, I would keep it, you know, kind of wide just so I'm not choking it off and give it some room.
Well, especially if that's the philosophy, like your position size to risk. You don't want a couple of position size to risk with a 10-cent stop loss.
Exactly.
You're
Especially on an option. Yeah.
kind of defeating the purpose to position size to risk there when you're not even willing to risk what your
Yeah,
position size is.
for
And
sure.
so like that. And so two bull call spreads here on round 2. We got the breakout on Cisco, got the multiple time frame breakout on Snow. Frankie, let's go to you first. End of the day. My question's simple. What's your favorite trade of the 4 trades? And I'm
Ooh, of the
to you
4
next, Bobby.
trades. The
Your
4 trades.
favorite trade of the 4 trades. Team, tell me your favorite trade of round 2. Cisco versus the Snowflake, the Informer.
There you go. Well,
Frankie, for you, like if you could only add one trade for tomorrow of these 4, which one is it?
ooh, well, before I do that, the master still has a lesson to teach the apprentice, and it's actually not Cisco's all-time high. They in the 2000 bubble, they kissed $82. But I do like the overall look to that. To your question, Maddie, ooh, that
Probably
is
still bag holders at that level, by the way.
like we can get up there. We can get up there.
Listen, this breakout's going to be the one that does the trick.
Listen, it might be. It's a good
Breakout.
solid
It
look,
ain't going to
right?
400 or 80. Well, it could go to 81. Like, yeah.
It could get up into that in that
All right.
range.
So what's your
But if I
favorite?
had to say my favorite, I'd probably say snow if I had to.
The multiple time frame. Gotcha.
I think the multiple time frame mid tier, I see that window, and you know me, I'm not a lot different than you in regards to those mid tier breakouts. We love them, right?
Big
They
fan.
don't all work out, but when they do,
When
they
they do.
are pretty fun to be involved with. So I think it's less like the name, right, and more just the general pattern. I think I'm going to side with the mid tier breakout on snow.
Yeah. I think the mid tier breakout on snow is we've just had at tackle the last couple of years, Frankie. We've had an extremely good track record on mid tier breakouts.
Yeah.
Extremely good track record on mid-tier breakouts,
We've had.
which Abby V was
Which
just
Abby V was,
a
right?
couple months
You know,
ago.
and if you think back to, 6 weeks ago when Snow had those earnings, I know you went over those earnings.
I did.
Those numbers were not too shabby. So, that's a good backdrop to punch up into that
And
window.
Snow is also an AI name in the financial space too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're an AI kicker stock. All right. What about you, Bobby? What does Anakin have to say?
It's a tough one. I mean, I do like the snow. I do like how it's a mid tier and has some room to run. And there's definitely I like the out of the money spread, debit spread on that one. Try to get it cheap. For me, I think I'm gonna go with AbbVie. I mean, I know I picked it. I know I'm being a little biased, but I think just where it's at right now, I love these. It's been my favorite pattern ever since Frank taught me, this pattern when we were doing coaching. I just think these snapback flags, they always have room to, confirm and continue to go, keep the trend running. So, for me, if I was to enter something into tomorrow, it would be Abby for sure.
Well, and it doesn't look like this trend's slowing down. You know what I mean?
No, there's
Exactly.
lots of it's
picking
got
up a
plenty of
little
room to
steam.
run.
And there might be a reason why it's starting to pick up a little bit of steam once it broke out of its all-time high. Again, stocks like to figure out where that next level is. And I was talking to a trader earlier today, and they're like, should I close the trade right now? And I'm like, you're in the middle of a wave. What did you look at the profit and ask me if you needed to close the trade, or did you look at the candle and to ask me if you need to close the trade? Because I'm willing to bet if you're in the middle of a run with momentum and you're thinking about closing the trade instead of trailing a stop loss, you looked at the profit instead of the actual analysis.
Yeah.
And so Abby V, I'll go next. I thought all four picks were excellent, by the way. I love Trade Masters. If you love Trade Masters, let us know in chat.
Who doesn't love looking at some clean
Like,
charts,
who
right?
doesn't love talking shop, talking trades, talking picks, And what I really love about Trade Masters, and it's kind of what I love about tackle trading in general, we don't just talk the pick, we teach the concept as we talk the pick. And education plus application, that's what we do at tackle trading and absolutely everything we do. And you two boys brought the thunder and the lightning here today. I might have to change your nicknames from hard time Obi-Wan Kenobi and the young Anakin to something else a little bit here. I thought you guys brought the thunder here today. It was well done. I'm gonna go with Abby V. Full bias because that last trade was such a good trade. I was like, well, let's sign up for round two here. But I'm also a sucker for momentum. And when you have momentum in trends and you match it with a momentum pattern, those become pretty easy traits. It doesn't mean they always work out, or we would never talk about position sizing to risk on a spread or stop loss placement or position sizing in general. But you gotta love when momentum is on momentum, meaning momentum trends with momentum patterns. They have a tendency to work out pretty good, and that's what Abby V has right now. So I'll go with Abby V.
Well,
but
I will say this to Abby V. I think Bob made a great point. The break out of that trend line, and we talked about that a lot in healthcare. Obviously, those two big green bars, right, that led to this pullback, they were there in healthcare, but it was dramatically outperforming the space as a whole leading into it, why is it all of a sudden going to not be a leader in the space, right? So
It's a
I think
leader
that is a
before healthcare became something on the
yeah.
Bulls
Now you get, if you can get some
equation.
love
Now
from the sector as a whole, because it was swimming upstream,
it
right?
was
I mean
fighting
that
its sector. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
I mean
great
it was
point too.
definitely not getting. So I mean it's a very solid selection. I can't fault you boys for taking it.
All right, team. That's it for us with Trade Masters here today. I just want to say thank you to Bobby D for coming on to Trade Masters.
For
He was on
sure.
the podcast a couple 3 weeks ago now. Bobby, I thought you were excellent there, and I thought you were excellent here as well. Thank you so much for coming on to Trade Masters and being part of the best of what makes tackle trading tackle trading. Really
For sure.
appreciate your time and your knowledge and your dedication to everything at tackle trading. Coach Frank, as always, man, you bring it every single time in Trade Masters. And you know what I loved? I loved getting to judge you too. That's what I loved. This might be my new role, is just being the referee of Trade Masters. Like I'm really enjoying this new role I have. And so Bobby, this probably isn't the last time you're on Trade Masters, so
So
that I can, in
so
fact, I need
free up your Wednesday is what I just heard, Bobby.
If that means going against Frank, I'm all in.
All
Always
right.
game
I
for it.
love it. I love it. I love it. If you love Trade Masters, hit that like and share on the way out the door. And I just want to say last thoughts to the team out there. Thank you so much for always coming out, supporting Trade Masters, supporting what we do in our YouTube. Love the team, love our community, and we'll see you tomorrow in the Traders Lounge.
Yeah, absolutely. Quickly before we leave, I will throw the midweek scan in the new traders chat. So head over to the Tackle Trading Discord if you want to see the guys who lost. There were some pretty good looks that lost, but I'll throw that in the new traders Discord channel if you would like that.
And the final new watch list will be in the Traders Report this Friday. Thanks, team.
Sure.
Later.
Later, guys.